Hey guys, welcome back to Remove Before Race. It's me, Raz, and I've managed to find BMW's secret hiding spot for their unreleased cars, and I found the car that we've been waiting for the most in the last 10 years, and it has to be the brand new M4 and M3. Now, there's so much to unpack on these cars because unlike your typical new models, which just have incremental updates in terms of design, power, and tech, these beasts have thrown everything in the kitchen sink at making sure that the rivals do not stand a chance in this generation. So of course I have to go over this aggressive and controversial new front-end design, and I'm going to do that by looking a little bit back at the history of the M3 and the M4, as well as looking back at the history of the evolution of the vertical BMW grille. And if you want to see what these cars look like with the standard grille, or what they would look like, stick around for that later in the video. But this grille is a statement. It's a statement to rivals. It's a statement to customers that the M3 and the M4 are here to dominate. And the way that they're going to dominate is to give choice to those who love driving through the drivetrain options available on this car. So stick around and I'm going to show you every single detail of both the new M3 and the M4 competition. Remember to stay till the end of the video, guys, where I've got an awesome giveaway from BMW M for these M-Town passports, so stay right till the end. So guys, the M3 and the M4, undoubtedly the flagship BMW M cars. And this car today, well, it's making a statement. I mean, that whole design is a statement right there. And the statement that's being made is that it's here to dominate in this generation. Now, the two-door version, which is the M4 now, basically an M3 Coupe, is undoubtedly the quintessential BMW M car. Why do I say that? Because the blueprint for BMW M was set by the original car. Now, when I go back into the history, I want you guys to focus a little bit on how the design changes and pay special attention to the grille, and I'll get onto that later. Now, the first car that began the legend of BMW M has to be the 3-litre Csl, aka the Batmobile. Now, this was a hugely successful race car that really put BMW M division on the map. You can see it even began that tricolor color scheme that is so famous today. It set the basis again for a car that looked like a normal road car, but it was lighter, stripped out, bucket seats, track focused, and of course, look, it's even got that vertical grille that has been evolved in our new M4 today. So undoubtedly, our current car today links back to that original starting point. But the first M3, of course, came in the legendary E30 series. Now, this car needs no introduction. It was such a special car, and again, it came from motorsport because BMW had to build 5,000 road-going examples to satisfy the FIA Group A regulations in order for this car to enter the races. And thank God that they did, because that is why the M3 exists today. And again, blueprint for our cars today. When you look at the body of this car, nothing was shared with the standard E30 other than the bonnet. We had an extended lower front splitter. We had the wing on the rear, flared arches, of course, the interior. And even the rear window was slightly more bent to help air better flow to the rear of the car. Now, of course, we had a wonderful engine in this car as well. We had race suspension, bigger and better brakes, a rear slippy diff, and of course, it was a manual. And that small package, but with decent enough power and a lightweight car, was what made this so exciting for customers, and then began the legend that we have today. And even in this E30, you'll note the grille is more vertical than it is horizontal. And when you compare it, say, to our predecessor to today's car, which has a much more horizontal grille, you'll see that the two don't really match in terms of evolution. And I'm going to come back to this again, because I think that the horizontal BMW grille is more of a kind of 90s innovation than something that links back to the original cars. So the blueprint was set. I'm going to skip the E36 because it was a little bit disappointing versus the E30. Then came one of my favorite BMW M cars ever, the E46 M3, only available in coupe and cabriolet, again with a wonderful straight six engine and just a design that you could drool over for days and days, with the flared arches, cues from the CSL, the quad pipes on the rear. This car, of course, brought back the CSL in a limited run car with a extremely exciting sounding exhaust. Now, once again, when we focus on that grille, you can see in the E46 that it's slightly starting to become more horizontal versus the original E30 and the CSL. Now, when we move into the next car, the E92, big changes here. It had a purpose-built 4-litre V8 specifically for the M3. Now, yes, it didn't match with the history of what BMW M had done with this car, but I think in the future it's going to stand out as a slightly unique version. Of course, it sounded great, and with this version, we had the return of the sedan, which had skipped through the E46 version. What's more important, though, is that we look at the predecessor to our car today, which of course is the F80. Now, this is where BMW decided that their coupes were going to have even numbers, maybe to the detriment of BMW M, because the two-door M3 then became the M4. But what was great is we went back to the straight six, albeit with a twin-turbo setup, and this car was in fact even lighter than its predecessor, in part probably because of that. And we had some pretty exciting versions in this vehicle, all ending in the end with that extremely cool CS car. Now, when you take a look through the history of the M3 and I guess the M4, you can see an eventual evolution of the grille becoming from vertical a bit more horizontal to extremely horizontal. That is until you come to today's car, which throws that out the window. Now, for a lot of people, they think that this has come out of the blue, but it really hasn't. When we go back to BMW's original history, the first car that really made them out to be a bit sporty was the BMW 328 Coupe. Now, look at the size of that vertical grille. It is absolutely massive. But this car really, again, it put them out there as a sporty company. And it wasn't abandoned after this either. If you look at, say, the BMW 503, again, it carries that across. And there's a whole plethora across their history where they had vertical grilles. And when I say vertical, I mean the grilles are taller than they were wider. And of course, no better example than the CSL. Now, in more recent times, I think they began to prime us for this. And it's nice that it's all linked back to history and it hasn't come out of nowhere. For example, the 328 Homage Concept from 2011. Look at that again. Quite similar looking to our car today, isn't it? Look at the shape of the grille. Very, very similar indeed. Again, priming us for this idea of a return to the retro vertical grille. Then, my absolute favorite BMW M concept car, and one of my favorite concept cars generally, which I think it matches our story today the best, and that is the Csl Homage Concept. Even the color seems to match, but look at the design. Now, this was a concept car that I'm sure most BMW M fans and generally petrolheads were like, well, BMW, why the hell don't you build this? It looks absolutely freaking awesome. But they kind of have now, haven't they? I mean, I get this grille doesn't quite match as well as it does perhaps in the way that that concept was designed, but that's because everything else is so exaggerated on that concept. But the idea of that grille linking back to the vertical heritage in BMW, it just sits well with me. So that's enough history, enough grille talk. Let's look at this brand new car. Yes, it's controversial. My first impressions were that it looks absolutely fantastic. Now, of course, this is coming from someone who's very biased towards C63s, but this to me really excites me. It's a car that I feel I want to own because it really stands out. Now, a lot of people said that it wouldn't look good with the number plate. I think it looks okay. You look at the grille up close, thanks to the additional air takes that you have at the bottom, these are finished in a lovely carbon package. You have the air curtains on the side that push air through the wheel arch as well, and the vertical grills within the main grille. Plus, there's one other lovely detail which sits above the grille here. You've got kind of power domes that go toward the top of the bonnet, and it really finishes the entire look in a really, really aggressive way. I really quite like the front end. I think you guys need to see it in person. It's just one of those things that you won't get your head around until you get close to it. But believe me when I say it is a lot more exciting than we thought that it would be. Now, of course, as is always the case, we've got a completely unique body versus your standard 4 Series Coupe. When you compare the two together, this looks a complete beast. And similarly, if we look at our friend, the new M3, it looks so aggressive. Now, of course, this is in the standard version, not the competition. The competition would look like this. It looks absolutely bombastic. Now, this is a brand new color. This is Isle of Man green. It looks absolutely brilliant. The other color that we have is Sao Paulo Yellow. It's a bit remove before race spec, this one as well, isn't it? So yes, we've got a unique bonnet, unique front fender, unique side wings. You've got M8-like details on the front wing here. You've got really quite large side sills, which look fantastic in gloss black. In the competition version, of course, we have unique multi-spokes here, and we've got the track package here, which gives us the additional carbon ceramic brakes. We've got a carbon roof as standard on the competition as well. Then again, when you look at the rear of the car, really aggressive. You've got your quad pipes, as you would expect. Lots of carbon on the lower diffuser, a nice wide stance, a muscular stance. I really like the look of this car. Now let's compare the direct look to the previous M3 first of all, and then go back. And now you can see the level of aggression is very high. If these cars ever look muted compared to, say, something like a C63 or an Audi in the past, that's not going to happen in this generation. Now, you wanted to see what this car would look like with a standard grille, say, from the BMW M8. So here it is. What do you guys think? Would you be happier with that? I don't think I would be, and I'm saying that as someone from outside the brand. If I was to own one of these, and I'm very much tempted by the idea of the M3 Touring, then I quite like that front fascia, and I think it's something that I would want to have on the car. Now that's all white noise. It all goes to the background when you realize that this car is about choice for the petrol head, because you can get a manual version, you can get a rear-wheel drive version, you can get an X-Drive version. And this is something that the rivals simply aren't going to do. So let's first unpack the performance of the car. We've got the new S58 engine in this, which you would have heard of from the X3M competition. It has some technical changes within this. If you don't know about that engine, it was heavily based on the B58 that you would have seen, say, in the 40i cars, but with a lot of differences for the full M version. The S58 is a closed deck construction. It's got slightly larger bore and a shorter stroke, so it revs higher to 7,250. And instead of the twin scroll single turbo, this has got a twin turbo setup, though oddly the turbos are single scroll. Though what I find super cool is that to reduce weight, the cylinder heads of the engine were 3D printed in an otherwise impossible to make shape. How incredible is that? So what does this engine produce in the two different trims that we have of the car? First of all, you have the standard M3 or M4. These come as the 6-speed manual. Again, the rivals aren't going to do this. In that version, the car has 480 brake horsepower, 0 to 60 in 4.2 seconds, and torque of 550 Newton meters. Now that power is already beyond the previous CS models in the last generation, so already super impressive. Now, when you go up to competition spec, you automatically get the 8-speed Speedtronic gearbox. You get 510 brake horsepower, 0 to 60 of 3.9 seconds, and torque of an increased 650 Newton meters. So look at the choice you're getting here. You can get a 6-speed manual with rear-wheel drive, 480 brake, proper driver's car, or you can go and still have rear-wheel drive with an 8-speed automatic, with more horsepower in the competition, or you can wait for summer next year and get the X-Drive as well. All available in coupe, sedan, probably cabriolet coming down the line. We know that the Touring is coming as well. This is what I mean. Your rivals, the C63, the RS4, they just aren't going to offer those options to the customers. We know what's happening with C63. We know it's going 4-cylinder. We know it's going to be 4-matic, at least that's what we've heard. How is that going to stand up against this beast? I don't know yet. But at the moment, BMW M are killing it. Now, if you go for the X-Drive variant, you get 3 different traction control options. The last one, of course, being rear-wheel drive, proper drift mode. So you get the best of both worlds and turns the M3 and M4 even more of a daily than it already is. And again, if you don't want that, you can go for the rear-wheel drive version. Now, again, there's even more packages you can get. We've got the M Race Track package, which gives you carbon bucket seats, special alloy wheels, the carbon ceramic brakes, reduces the weight of the car by another 25 kg, and you get more options inside that we'll go into later as well. Now, like its rivals in the C63, or perhaps beyond that, you've got a 10-stage traction controller inside to allow you to control the amount of slip as well, again, taking this car to the next level. So, big changes to set this apart, not only from rivals, but the 340i as well, the previous M3 and M4. Again, it's a big statement. Now, let's have a look inside at some of the little interior changes that have gone on, some of the big interior changes, and then listen to the sound of this car before we finish up. So guys, here is the interior of the M4 competition. Now, the first thing that you notice when you open it and you go, wow, has to be the seats. Look at these. These are the M track package seats. They are fully carbon, as you can see. They've got even an incredible carbon element here. Through here you've got, as you can see, like a handlebar. You need to hold on for dear life, which is probably not inaccurate. This matches the exterior colour here. In fact, the entire colours of the interior, they're removed before race colours, aren't they? Have they done this on purpose? I don't know, but it looks incredible. Got carbon fibre package inside here as well, so across the M Performance steering wheel, on the trims on the side there, in the centre console as well. But generally the first impression that you get is, wow. Not unlike what you see when you look at the outside of the car. And indeed that carries through into the rear as well. The other extremely awesome detail in here relates to the shift paddles. You can see they're larger. You can see the red finish on the rear. Now this is almost like a, is it rubberized? It feels rubberized, but whatever it is, I think you've got quite a wonderful carbon fiber finish. They just feel really substantial. I love the size of them, love the look of them, love how the red kind of matches your typical now M buttons as well. Now, of course, just as in the M8, you've got the M mode setup, which you can set to either road, sport, or if you get the M Drive Professional, then you can get the track option as well, which you hold down to activate. And then, of course, that will black out this screen and only have the details on the front screen in front of you as well. But we'll delve more into that when we actually drive these cars in the future. Now we have got the premiere of the new M Drive Professional with M Drift Analyzer as well, M Lap Timer, M Traction Control. Again, this is something that is brand new and it's coming in the M3 and the M4 and it's available in your system inside these cars. Now before we finish off, let's hop into that lovely Isle of Man Green M3 and see what it sounds like in sport mode. So guys, I hope you enjoyed that first look at the BMW M3 and M4 competition. Can't wait to drive these. It'll be sometime next year, I'm sure. It looks fantastic. I want to hear what you guys think. I know this is a first look. I'm, of course, excited having seen the car for the first time in secret, but I want to see what you guys think. So guys, if you enjoyed this episode, please do like, subscribe, hit the bell icon. There's one other special video coming on M3 and M4 as well, so keep an eye out for that. And I'll see you again next time. So guys, thanks for watching. Now I've got an awesome giveaway with BMW M for these 5 M-Town passports, and for the runners-up, a load of M-Town stickers for your car as well. All you need to do is subscribe to Remove Before Race and comment down below where you'll travel with your passport cover once we're allowed to freely travel once again. So just subscribe, comment down below, and you'll be in a chance to win. Thanks once again for watching.